streaming button. And hopefully we'll be live. I will send the link once I see it is live. Hello, people that are coming in. How's it going? For those of you that are sticking around, nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by. We're going to be going live with the next episode, episode 6 of Beyond the Hunt, in just a moment.
And we're live on YouTube.
Yep, I'm seeing the stream. It stopped for a moment. But maybe that's just YouTube buffering? But maybe that's just YouTube buffering? Yeah, test
right.
1, 2. Alright, we look good to me.
I think we're good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Hunt, a monthly-ish show where we talk about everything Wild and Festival on the current project.
Yes.
And maybe beyond. So today we've got a sneak peek at one of the new characters coming in. We've got some talking about some of our design philosophy, and we got some talk about how we're doing on the project, what we're waiting for, and when we can expect samples.
Yes. And I think
So we got a
that's
lot to cover.
probably the best place to start, right?
Yeah. So in terms of project, we're working with the visual designer for Lionwing and between ourselves on getting everything ready for print. Most everything is slated and ready to get going. We're waiting on a piece of art still, which is fine. And we have one bit, I believe, that needs a little touch up, and that's basically where we're at. We had wanted to get samples ordered in by next month. I think we're still going to hit that target. We may not see that sample next month, but we're definitely going to see it sooner rather than later in terms of that. So we're on our way to getting a sample and getting that ready for us to look over. And honestly, if everything comes out amazing, I'd argue we send that sample over to Mike from One Stop Co-op Shop. He's been great. And then we go for mass printing, as long as nothing's an issue. So if all that's ready, then maybe we get printing in by December, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that would definitely put us probably ahead, or at least very much on pace for that estimated April or sometime within that time frame, which would be great, especially for a Lion Wing project. So shout outs to everybody involved for keeping us on the ball with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Again, we've been going over every single piece of content over the last month and making sure that it meets our standards and that all the wording is correct and that everything is where it needs to be. And also everything that was from the original game actually gets put in. For the longest time, we didn't realize we were missing the little booklets that came in the first game. So we had to slate those in somehow.
Yeah, we finally
No
got the
worries, they're
files
in
for
there.
that too.
Yeah. No worries, they're in there. They just need to be touched up. But once we're done with all that, then it's off to the races.
Yeah. So outside of editing, lots of files, which we've been in and out of a bunch, and once again, shout out to Win for doing a lot of the work for that with us. Been an absolute treat to be able to pull her away from like Where's the Blade and stuff just for a little bit to help make sure that Kratia is moving at a good pace. But yeah, other than that, why don't we jump right into some lore talk, I guess. Fern has been doing a whole lot of writing for the story. If you've been reading that on wildhuntfestival.com, shout out to that website. We have our Tales from Kratia section on there if you want to get yourself indoctrinated with some of that lore before the game hits the table for you, or if the game's been hitting the table for you already from the original version, if you're as excited as we are and replaying some of the old stuff. There's going to be a lot to dig into, and I think there's already a lot there. 4 chapters is nothing to scoff at. So, Fern, why don't you jump in and, I don't know, if you want to mention, there's been some spoilery, well, not necessarily spoilery, but there's been some interesting character introductions in there, as well as I think with the release of Chapter 4, we've also seen Kemuri and Myra finally hit the limelight in terms of our, overall Rui and Haruno story, but we're actually getting to interact with some of the new characters, which is really cool because they're getting very personified now and not just, images on their boards.
Yeah. So to start off, Inari Light and Shadow, our story mode little section, um, was the start of us trying to build a more narrative focus on Wildland Festival. Not in terms of the gameplay, because we believe that the gameplay is very good as it is. It's very solid, and we don't want to detract from that by making it narrative focus, but by adding narrative to a world that you've all played through and you all feel like it is real. So not only is Arya part of that, but it also was the flagship for this Tales from Kradia section, where we're going in, we're talking about stories about people, places, and things in the world of Kradia, and how we're going to be introducing them and giving them that kind of like breath of life and character through these story chapters. I think the great part about using Ruin Harno as the flagship for that is their story revolves around them being fledgling adventurers. Not like Urase, who's a veteran and all this other stuff, right? He's been around for a long time. He's technically retired and came back. Uh, we got these brand new adventurers, these younglings, and then you get to experience the world from their perspective as they venture outside the walls of Prawley City. And in this story, they really take a journey over to essentially a small village at the edge of the continent. And that happens to be where our Rights of Nature characters are featured. And so we have uh, keys in and hints in for those characters, a lot of theming. Myra's very interesting because she's never named in that chapter, but she's got a lot of personality.
She certainly does, and I'm glad that we get to see her at all, right?
No.
They've not to ramble over the entire story that you've dropped so far, but Rui and Harno are, they have a mentor that they've been training under for most of their time in the Parali Adventurers Guild, and we're getting to interact with her a good bit, but also, now that they're off on this little micro adventure, I think it's kind of fun to see, what else is even in the world? We talk about Parali a lot, but we haven't really truly investigated, I guess, until Donkai, what else is just kind of in this world and what the normal happenings are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also don't talk a lot about the Hukernists for some reason, despite them being a major, a population within
Yes,
the world of Kradia.
very major.
So I wanted to brush up on that. I wanted to brush up on, things outside of the Great Walls of Parali, because that's a very like bustling city with a lot of stuff in it and not very wilderness oriented, and that's where this village comes in. And also some of the characters that maybe aren't characters in Walden Festival that are supporting casts. For example, Kreia, the mentor at Parali Academy, who I really have enjoyed writing about, and despite her not being a character you can play on a card, she's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I'm very glad that, even like her in general, like this is a prime way to actually give back to the universe of Kradia itself. Like the and Parali, right, being the one of the most named cities, most named locations in the game, we don't have like the inner workings of like characters that have their day-to-days there, what characters outside of the guilds even do, or even any of the guild like higher ups are, we have Edelin and Ishiki from Kadore, but they haven't been like personified outside of the quest booklet from the original game either. So there's so much more to do, and I really hope that we get to touch every aspect of that, like that storyline.
Yeah. One sec, real quick. Apparently, you need to turn up your volume on OBS slightly.
Okay. I've turned it up a bit. How's this? I'm gonna wait for confirmation, but I've turned it up quite
Let's
a bit
see.
now.
Nothing's changing.
Okay. How about now? Test 1, 2.
Still quiet.
Discord will remain the same, but my mic being picked up on OBS
Yes, your
should
Discord's
be
fine.
should be much louder now.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna leave it at the flat 0 decibels, and we'll see what happens. Now I should be in line with Fern. Usually
Okay.
I turn myself down because I
All
peak
right.
all the time.
Oh, much better.
Oh, you're good. You're really
Okay. Uh,
Thank you.
where were we?
Aspects of Kradia that haven't been touched but have been named a lot. Other characters that
Right.
might not even be in the guild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually a lot of that also gets introduced in Donkey Survey Brigade through Ramo. The survey mode covers a lot of things about an ancient civilization and places that are way outside of the walls of Probably City. So there's a lot of stuff to look into in that. He built a very narrative focused game mode. I enjoy what he did with it, and I think it's really awesome. So it'd be great to share with you all once we get that finalized. The game book's large, so it's still in progress. But once we get that and we get a preview out, we might show you some things from that. It's been really awesome to see. And we're trying to build off of that, right? So you'll know that in Donkey Survey Brigade, we have our Rights of Nature's characters that come from there. They're from that village in the stories that we've been writing about. And they're also technically not a part of Probably Adventurers Guild. They're part of a different faction that we've introduced, Fable Tellers. More lore on that in the future. We want to explain it all, but there's a lot of nuance in terms of like what the Fable Tellers actually are, and not enough time and not enough context to explain it yet.
Yeah. And I
But
definitely
know
think
we'll be
that
working.
sorry, not to jump ahead of you, but I definitely
No, go
think
ahead.
that through the Tales from Kradia and like excerpts that you'll be able to read and see, and even on like future characters and stuff, I think that a lot of that will be kind of explained in a. It's better to open the door slowly rather than for us on like a Beyond the Hunt episode just lore dump on you and then have it go over your head by the time it's actually in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So
So there's going to be a lot more context with that. And you'll get to see hints of it slowly as we continue moving forward. And it's going to be really fun because we really like the two factions we're adding into the game. Because Probably Adventurers Guilds are awesome, but, you know, what if we had other people that aren't quite adventurers? And Kreia kind of hints at that in the way that she's portrayed. Because she's very much an adventurer who is no longer allowed to go outside.
yes, that is true. And there's a good explanation for that. But yeah, so lots of exciting things to look forward to. So we hope that you guys will keep up with the Tales from Kradia page on wildhuntfestival.com. That link is available in a number of places. If you don't write it down or use it, or it's in the chat, or check out our link tree. We do have a link tree. I don't know if you guys know about that. It's what was it? Linktree dot Wild Hunt Festival, or yeah, I think it's WHF or Wild Hunt Festival or something like that. It's on one of the pages
If
somewhere.
you're on the YouTube, it's the QR code in the
Yes,
bottom.
that is right. Thank you. The QR code underneath me is to the link tree. I totally forgot that.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on from that, what did you want to go through next, Mr. Fern?
All right. Well, let's talk about Rui then.
Sure.
We've been teasing the Arya Light and Shadow characters for a while now, and we haven't shown quite what their character is and how you play with them. We've talked about Rights of Nature before. I believe we talked about New Galateo a little bit. So that mini expansion, what's in it, and is it worth the wait? Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rui, which we will show you, you know what? Why not? We'll just drop it on the screen while we're talking about her. So for those of you that actually tune in to our Beyond the Hunt episodes, you get to be the first people outside of our private chat rooms to actually get to see some of the art from the finalized stuff. I will make a note here that her, I'm gonna put my face in the frame. Hold on. We're just gonna shrink her down just a little bit. Aha, alright. So, there on your screen is the mostly finalized version of Rui's player board. I think she looks excellent. her art that we showed off to you last, Beyond the Hunt. Excellent work by Kathy Trin. Thank you so much. Putting that art on an actual board, and if you take a look down at the hero skills section, you'll notice that we actually have her skills in there. One minor thing, the levels next to the skill names on the skill card are still incorrect. Those have to be fixed, but that's super minor. You'll notice that Rui is an attacker, and just like we've explained before, both of the characters coming in Aria of Light and Shadow are attackers. Rui takes an interesting sort of line here, and she's about building up a unique gauge to her and then spending it all for big attacks. So the way that you're going to be doing that is twofold. We won't be showing off exactly how that works this time, but we will be showing off her 2 skill cards, which I think are definitely worth the wait.
Yeah. So if we take a look at her skills, the first skill is wordy but is very simple. It's essentially you can use it to ignore ailments. And that's the entire skill. And the second skill is you deal damage to the boss and you heal based on the damage. And that's the entirety of that skill. And you may be thinking, that's a very simplistic character. Like, she's got one ability and then she's got a niche utility ability that doesn't seem to do much. So, what are we doing with such a simplistic character, Jake?
Well, I'm very glad that you asked. The unique part about Rui is that not only is she a relatively straightforward attacker, but once you fill up her gauge, you'll be able to enter what we're calling the Unleashed mode. Somewhere, somehow, throughout the story, you'll have to figure that out for yourselves. Rui will unlock this Unleashed mode, that I'm going to call it, which will allow you to flip your skill card over and perform some pretty sweet abilities. Showing them here on the screen now, you get to take a look here. This is the backside of her skill card. Looking specifically, you'll notice that the side colors are all purple. The cost for these skills is a purple eyeball symbol, which we're calling the energy symbol, or at least that's what we've been calling it in code, I guess. And yeah, so you're going to be able to spend this unique, this unique resource to perform some pretty sweet skills. We've got some utility mixed in there, and we've also got a pretty devastating one, which spends all of her gauge down on the bottom.
Yeah. So we've got a unique resource mechanic, and we know we're going to build that resource, but we're not going to learn about that right this moment. But most characters are modal, right? You choose which backside. I also see that the first 2 skills aren't the same as the first 2 skills in the other thing. They're all flavors of attacking. How does that conflict with the design of all the other characters who have 2 sides to a card, but you get to choose which side they're on?
Right. So, in contrast to the normal where you would pick the side of the card that you would take, she will always start with the version of the card I've got on the screen now. This is the front side of the card, also known as what we're calling the dormant side of the card. This version of the card is going to be always face up when you're level 3 or higher, and this is where you will start the fight. Once you build up all of your gauge, you'll be able to flip it over, as you'll see on the level 3 ability, which also has the unique tag of passive. So, this is another way that Rui is unique. She, in order to become unleashed, instead of having to spend a turn to use an ability to flip the card over, she, when you have the right resources available, you can, at the start of your turn, flip to the unleashed side, rather than having to spend a turn, flip over, wait for the next turn. You get to go crazy on the turn that you have all the resources required, which we think is really cool, and also makes her, like, pretty straightforward and simplistic to play, but quite powerful in the right situations.
All right. And in terms of how we've designed her, it's very much you build up a gauge, you go essentially all in, and then you do a bunch of damage, and then you cool down again, and then you repeat that cycle. So think like Madurado kind of, in the way that you have a big swing, and then you have this like cooldown turn, and you're not really doing much after that. But built into her level 3 skill and her second skill card in a way that emphasizes her ability to do big damage, but also makes playing her a little bit challenging because you're balancing two different resources that loosely interact, not really.
Yeah, I mean, you can...
And you need...
Sorry, continue.
And you need quite a bit of resources to get to that power spike, so you kind of need to build all of that in order to go hard.
Exactly. So we think that, you know, albeit she is straightforward, there is still a lot of, like, tactical nuance for the party to take into effect when trying to make her the strongest that she can be. I know we've talked a lot about Elizabeth as a good battery, right? And a lot of other, like, good teammates for Rui amongst other characters. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what people think of her when she actually hits the board, you know, sometime next year. And of course, we will also definitely do a little Haruno spotlight on a episode of Beyond the Hunt when her cards are nearly done being put together as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in terms of, I guess if we want to move over to her design, if you want me to go into a little bit of, like, the character herself and how, you know, how we decided to move her over from, you know, her Final Fantasy XIV counterpart, which is where she comes from, and actually get fit into this universe where she makes, you know, enough sense and is not a total ripoff of what she is originally.
Yes, absolutely. One of the first things we did was remove all Final Fantasy references and the themings from it, except for the fact that she uses the spear. But I don't think that's quite trademarkable.
That's definitely not trademarkable, and if you know me well, I love a good spear or a good lance character. That's just my, you know, like, the power fantasy that I very much enjoy. But yeah, other than the spear being carried over, and, you know, we kind of tweaked that even a bit too, right? She's not just a spear-wielding character, she is a battle master. So if you look closely at her art, right, she has, like, the extra knife, or, like, the extra dagger attached to her leg, and, you know, in the cover art that you see down there, you know, she's got a couple other, like, things going on her armor, which is really neat. But yeah, so she's very rowdy, you know, personality-wise. She's very, like, you know, wanting to be in the fight and always trying to be in people's faces. And I think that some of that has come through a little bit in the story so far, but I'm sure it will take even bigger steps as her tale continues. But for the most part, she's brought over effectively 1-to-1. You know, we've got Hugh in this universe, and she was designed after the human cat race in Final Fantasy XIV called Makote. So it was kind of like an easy shoe-in to show that, like, she is very viable in this universe and not like an alien from a different planet.
Yes, I think we want to avoid that.
Of course. Well, unless we do the space expansion, that's, you know, that's way down the line. Insert sarcasm here. Don't worry, we're not going to space. But yeah, no, other than that, you know, she doesn't have any, like, anything super extravagant. I just wanted her to be like a, you know, a flexible, like, battle ready spear character that, you know, just wants to fight. She wants to adventure. She wants to, you know, kill monsters, and that's kind of the name of the game. It's relatively simplistic.
Back up her character and put it in the empty zone there, so we can have a little more visual aid there.
Sure. Did you want the character board or the art?
Yeah, let's hit the character board.
Okay. Here, I don't mind covering my face just a little bit. There you go. Can always hang out to the side.
That's fine. All right. So, as Jake has said before, Rui is a battle master. I believe the idea behind that was she has mastered every weapon in the arsenal, essentially.
Yes, that is a unique to Karadia lore. But also makes sense in a Final Fantasy sense, right? Like in Final Fantasy XIV, you can be any of the jobs you want, so it makes sense that she is also a, like, capable of wielding any weapon kind of person, like a jack of all trades.
Of course, she prefers the spear, and I would not say she's like 100% top level on every weapon. I don't think anyone is there, so whatever. She's mastered every weapon. She knows how to use every weapon. She also has very battle-focused abilities. She's got the ability to ignore ailments. That brings her into the battle more. Essentially, she can't be stalled off of the battlefield. She's got some self-sustain so that she can keep herself in the battlefield. And part of what we've done in talking about the story and in focusing her character is that she has unique access to these magical crystals that I believe are embedded into her spear, if I can see that correctly.
Yes,
And
yeah,
these crystals allow her.
there is one
Yeah.
all the way up at the start of the spearhead. It's kind of hard to see on the small imagery.
Yeah. But the idea is that she's mastered both weapons and a form of magic that we're kind of building as we're going on here. Her magic is not traditional in the sense of other Kratia characters. She kind of uses a form of ancient magic and interacts with red crystal ore, which is the type of material that you'll learn a lot about in the Donkai Server Brigade. And when we learned about that material, we were like, let's put that in as the crystals we were going to use Rui using.
Exactly.
And the cool thing is that all meshes together for one singular purpose, which is hitting very hard. And that's kind of Rui's thing, is that, she uses her mastery of weapons and her mastery of magic to hit very hard. Her mastery of magic is essentially solely confined to making the crystals release concussive force.
Which is a super neat way of also kind of utilizing a really neat aspect of Kratia, right? The red crystal ore itself is also something that we plan to like kind of introduce a little bit more. Like Fern said, you'll see a lot of that in Donkai Survey Brigade, but you'll also get bits and pieces of it as we explore some of these characters in their stories in Tales from Kratia too. I think it's really neat the like outlined path that we have for it so far, and when you guys get to actually interacting with some of Rui's backstory, I think that there's a really neat line that is drawn for using this in-universe like ore that isn't explained really anywhere else.
No. And so, all wrapped up together, we have a very powerful, very self-sufficient attacker that is kind of singly focused, but also very expressive in terms of how you want to play her. She's got a lot of ways to use resources, a lot of different resources that you can use at different times, and it's a matter of mastering when to and when not to hit the big button, essentially.
Definitely. And again, very excited to see people, put her on the battlefield and let us know what you think of her, and hopefully that she pulls her weight when she's on your teams. And I'm more than sure that she is capable of doing so.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you followed our design philosophy a little bit on characters, you'll know we talk about attackers as in having offensive utility. And while Rui has very little of that, she does have a little bit of it. She's more focused on being a true to form attacker, even though she's got this weird resource mechanic and she's got a little bit of thinking you have to do in terms of balancing those resources. It's very much, I am here to do damage, and that's basically it.
Big agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. But yeah, so hopefully you're interested in the the utility and the big hitting that she's going to be bringing to the battlefield, and I hope you're also just as excited to hear a little bit more about the extreme utility that Haruno will be bringing to the stage when she gets her character on the board. I think she's going to be really fun. She opens up a lot of doors. If you think Rui is good, I hope you're excited for what Haruno will be capable of, because it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah. It's really cool. We've been seeing this with our designs a little bit more. We want to release characters who are kind of technical, like Haruno. We also want to release characters who are interesting, like Rui, and characters who are simplistic in nature, but also fun to interact with. And that kind of has showcased in Matsuri a lot, in the way that we have these characters coming in for every kind of what you're feeling like playing. Right? You want to think a lot? Awesome. You want to think less? Totally fine. This game's not
Yeah.
about optimizing 90 different mechanics.
I think a lot of those, like, I genuinely, like, while Matsuri is relatively, like, press the button that lights up, I do think that there's been a lot of good, like, technical-sided characters that have come out of Rights of Nature. I do think Myra puts a really interesting thinky problem on the board, and I do think that, Matsuri with, like, which level 3 skill do you take, and your, like, pre-inflicting status ailments on the rest of the team to give them, like, an important heal, that's really cool. And also, Kamuri, hello, my favorite. Kamuri is also, like, a super technical kind of, like, which form do I take on? Like, is this the right situation for this? Do I even have the mana to do so? And, like, his Beast Forms card really, like, poses an interesting puzzle for how, like, a defender who has multiple forms would take on a boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all of that to say,
So-
and long-winded, these characters are, trying to hit as many avenues as they can in terms of, like, playability and the genre or type of character you're trying to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that, I believe, is our Rui showcase. Do we have anything else on the docket to talk about?
I don't think so. Remind me if I'm forgetting anything. Do we have any questions in the chat, which I can't open because it'll move my stream view?
Don't worry, I'm loading.
Okay.
I don't see any.
Okay, good. No YouTube chat questions, no Discord chat questions.
Yeah. So be on the lookout. I believe we're gonna hopefully have an update for next month earlier than this month.
Yes.
And we're gonna be working on getting that sample into our hands. That's primarily our objective right now. But do be on the lookout for future things. We have plans for once this hits your hands, your tables. We got a lot of karate content planned. We think it's gonna be really awesome to see. Can't talk too much about it, but there's a lot to look into and a lot to talk about in the world of Karadia. And as Bradley has said before, Wildland Festival is an evergreen project for Linewing, and we're making that happen. We're going to be looking at producing as much Wildland Festival as possible until y'all stop letting us do that.
And we are honored that you are all here to continue supporting us for that. It definitely means the world that you guys are just as excited as we are to have this game in your hands. But yeah, so there's a lot of really, like Fern said, a lot of really cool stuff that we cannot talk about right now. But the sooner we get to making those happen, you will definitely get announcements because we can't keep our mouths shut. At least when it comes to giving you guys information. So yeah, next month will be, I think we were talking about maybe doing the next SMT episode on Halloween. Don't quote me on that. So if we do a Beyond the Hunt, it'll at least be either the Tuesday before that or hopefully even before that so that we actually have stuff to show you. But yeah, be on the lookout for that next update. And if you have any questions or any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, etc., definitely find us in the Discord because we're always here to chat. Shoutouts to, who was it in there who just got done playing through one of the story modes?
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Was it?
Shout out to the people playing the original game, cracking it open. Awesome. We love rules questions, and we love answering those and talking about like how we've decided to change things as we've moved into this new printing. We've talked a lot about how we're changing wordings and how we're readdressing a lot of these old rules to make sure that they make more sense. We hope this will all be in there once we get that sample printing, and we hope you enjoy the new direction in terms of making things clearer and conciser so that you can just enjoy the game with as little interruption as possible.
Definitely agreed. But yeah, if there's nothing else that you want to drop on the docket, I don't think I have anything. yeah, I think that wraps us up for episode number 6 of Beyond the Hunt. Thank y'all so
Yeah.
much for coming through. We appreciate you coming by, asking questions, hanging out, checking out the cool sneak peeks, and we'll be back again next month in October for episode number 7, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
Alrighty. Good night, guys.